periodic report of Malawi to the Commission. We look forward to receive it as you promised during the course of this session. Is Côte d'Ivoire ready? Yes. Oui. Please proceed. Thank you. You have 7 minutes.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Excellence, Monsieur le Président de la Commission africaine des droits de l'homme et des peuples, vives félicitations pour votre brillante élection. Nous profitons de l'occasion pour féliciter également Mme Soyata Maïga pour l'immense travail abattu par son équipe. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, les représentants de la République de Gambie, les chefs de délégation gouvernementale, les représentants de la Commission de l'Union africaine, les représentants des missions diplomatiques et consulaires, Mesdames, Messieurs, membres des institutions partenaires de la Commission africaine des droits de l'homme et des peuples, Mesdames et Messieurs, c'est un grand honneur et un immense privilège pour moi de prendre la parole au nom de la République de Côte d'Ivoire et de son gouvernement à cette tribune de la 65e session ordinaire de la Commission africaine des droits de l'homme et des peuples. Permettez-moi, Mesdames et Messieurs, de souligner à l'entame de mon propos que la Côte d'Ivoire s'honore une fois encore de participer à cet important forum continental des droits de l'homme dont les autorités de la République de Gambie ont bien voulu accepter d'abriter l'organisation. La Côte d'Ivoire, par ma voix, adresse ses sincères condoléances au peuple gambien pour la perte de M. Daouda Diawara, père de la nation. Je voudrais exprimer mes sincères remerciements aux autorités ainsi qu'à l'ensemble du peuple gambien pour l'accueil fraternel qui nous a été réservé. Monsieur le Président, Mesdames et Messieurs, fortement attaché au principe de l'état de droit, mon pays poursuit inlassablement ses efforts pour la promotion et la protection des droits de l'homme à l'effet de permettre à l'ensemble des populations d'en jouir effectivement. Ainsi, pour nous limiter à la période postérieure à la 64e session de notre forum, la Côte d'Ivoire a posé un certain nombre d'actes majeurs. Dans le souci de se conformer aux engagements internationaux en matière de droits de l'homme, la Côte d'Ivoire a effectué son 3e passage à l'examen périodique universel le 7 mai 2019 et son rapport final a été adopté le 19 septembre dernier. Sur 247 recommandations à elle adressées, la Côte d'Ivoire en a accepté 223, soit 90%. Par ailleurs, en exécution de l'arrêt de la Cour africaine des droits de l'homme et des peuples du 18 novembre 2016, au terme duquel elle a ordonné à l'État de Côte d'Ivoire de modifier la loi relative à la commission électorale indépendante, le président de la République a instruit le gouvernement à l'effet d'engager des discussions avec les partis politiques et les organisations de la société civile. Se fondant sur les propositions ainsi que les documents de proposition de réforme transmis par les parties prenantes, la loi portant recomposition de la commission électorale indépendante a été élaborée et adoptée par le Parlement ivoirien. À la suite du rejet pour cause d'irrécevabilité par le Conseil constitutionnel d'un recours pour non-conformité à la loi, non-conformité à la Constitution, introduit par certains députés, le président de la République a promulgué cette loi le 5 août 2019. Dans cette nouvelle composition, le nombre de représentants de la société civile reconnus dans la Constitution comme une des parties prenantes comme une des composantes de l'expression de la démocratie par notre Constitution est passé de 4 à 6, donc 4 pour les organisations de la société civile, 1 pour le barreau, 1 pour le Conseil national des droits de l'homme. Le nombre des représentants des partis politiques est passé de 4 à 3. En outre, soucieuse du respect de ses engagements internationaux, la Côte d'Ivoire s'attelle actuellement à élaborer les divers rapports dus aux organes des traités dont celui à soumettre à la Commission africaine des droits de l'homme et des peuples. Au plan interne, mon pays a procédé à l'adoption et à la promulgation de plusieurs textes, notamment les nouvelles lois sur le mariage, d'une part, et la filiation, d'autre part, instaurant une mise en œuvre effective du principe de l'égalité entre l'homme et la femme, permettant effectivement l'exercice conjoint de l'autorité parentale en lieu et place de la puissance paternelle qui faisait la part belle au père. La loi sur le mariage fixe également l'âge de la majorité matrimoniale à 18 ans, tant pour l'homme que pour la femme. Elle prévoit la gestion conjointe du patrimoine de la famille. Une nouvelle loi sur la minorité fixe l'âge de la majorité à 18 ans accompli pour harmoniser la loi ivoirienne avec les textes internationaux. La nouvelle loi sur la succession améliore la situation du conjoint survivant en lui permettant de venir désormais en concours avec les enfants du décujus pour le quart de la succession. Un projet de loi relatif à la représentation de la femme dans les assemblées élues, adopté par l'Assemblée nationale et sur la table du Sénat, impose pour les scrutins uninominaux ou de liste un quota de 30% de femmes pour le nombre total de candidats présentés pour les scrutins relatifs à l'élection des députés, des sénateurs, des conseillers régionaux, des conseillers de district et des conseillers municipaux. Il prévoit également un financement public complémentaire à tout parti ou groupement politique dont la liste atteint au moins 50% de femmes candidates lors des scrutins. Un nouveau code pénal a été adopté le 26 juin 2019 à la suite du nouveau code de procédure pénale promulgué le 27 décembre 2018. Il contient toutes les incriminations du statut de Rome de la Cour pénale internationale, telles que la définition de la torture et autres traitements inhumains et dégradants. Il prend en compte diverses formes de violences basées sur le genre. Le viol conjugal y est désormais prévu comme infraction. Des mesures alternatives à l'incarcération, telles que le travail d'intérêt général et le fractionnement de la peine privative de liberté.
You have 1 minute, sir. 1 minute to conclude. Thanks.
OK. Et donc, la phase active également du programme social de gouvernement a été lancée pour une amélioration de divers droits sociaux. Monsieur le Président, Mesdames et Messieurs, pour clore mon propos, je voudrais, au nom de la République de Côte d'Ivoire et de son Excellence M. Alassane Ouattara et du Premier ministre Amadou Gon, Premier ministre, chef de gouvernement, remercier la Commission africaine des droits de l'homme et des peuples, avec à sa tête l'honorable président que vous êtes et les membres qui vous aident dans votre mission, et je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, Côte d'Ivoire. We welcome the process for the amendment of the electoral law of Côte d'Ivoire. And we do hope that, as Côte d'Ivoire pledged, that this would be done also in relation to the composition of the Electoral Commission, as recommended by the African Court on Human and People's Rights. We also commend Côte d'Ivoire on the new law on marriage, on minimum age, on candidatures for 50% candidatures of political parties, and these are extremely commendable initiatives, and we do hope that Côte d'Ivoire would convene peaceful and free election. Now we move on to Mauritania.
Bismillah.
You have 7 minutes, please.
Bismillah والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. السيد رئيس اللجنة الإفريقية لحقوق الإنسان والشعوب، السادة والسيدات أعضاء اللجنة، السادة والسيدات الوزراء، أصحاب السعادة السفراء ومندوبي الدول، السادة والسيدات ممثلي المنظمات الدولية والإقليمية، السادة والسيدات ممثلي المؤسسات الوطنية لحقوق الإنسان ومنظمات المجتمع المدني، أيها السادة والسيدات، اسمحوا لي في بداية كلمتي هذه أن أهنئ باسم حكومة الجمهورية الإسلامية الموريتانية السيد الرئيس وكذا أعضاء اللجنة الموقرة على العمل الجبار الذي يقومون به للنهوض بحقوق الإنسان والشعوب على مستوى قارتنا. وأنتهز هذه الفرصة لأعرب كذلك عن ارتياحنا لمستوى التعاون المتميز مع اللجنة وآلياتها الخاصة. كما يسعدني أن أتوجه بخالص الشكر وعظيم الامتنان للجمهورية الغامبية الشقيقة على حسن الاستقبال وكرم الضيافة اللذان حظيت بهما أنا والوفد المرافق لي منذ قدومنا إلى هذا البلد الجميل. سيد الرئيس، السادة والسيدات، لا تزال قارتنا تواجه عدة تحديات على مستويات مختلفة، أهمها الإرهاب والتطرف والجريمة المنظمة والفقر المدعق والنزاعات المسلحة والهجرة وتدهور البيئة، الأمر الذي أثر سلبا على مستوى النمو والاستقرار في مختلف بلدان قارتنا. ومن أجل المساهمة في رفع هذه التحديات ووعيا منه بالصلة الوثيقة بين ثلاثية الأمن والتنمية وحقوق الإنسان، يولي فخامة رئيس الجمهورية السيد محمد ولي الشيخ القزواني عناية خاصة لحفظ وصيانة كرامة الإنسان. يتجلى ذلك من خلال برنامجه السياسي الرامي إلى توطيد اللحمة الوطنية وتجاوز رواسب التقاليد البالية ومواكبة التقدم الكوني الحاصل في مجال حقوق الإنسان. وتطلع الحكومة في هذا الصدد إلى القيام بكل ما يلزم للقضاء نهائيا على مخلفات الرق ومعالجة كل أشكال القبن والتفاوت. تطبيق الصارم للتشريعات الناظمة لحقوق الإنسان، لا سيما قوانين مكافحة الممارسات الاسترقاقية والتعذيب والتمييز. توسيع برنامج تحويلات الاجتماعية التكافل لدعم تمدرس أطفال الأسر ذوي الدخل المحدود. اتخاذ التدابير اللازمة للرفع من نجاعة برنامج أمل لدعم المواد الأساسية لصالح الأسر ذوي الدخل المحدود. إطلاق برنامج جديد يسمى الشيلة لتحسين مستوى المعيشة في التجمعات المحلية الأكثر فقرا، لا سيما أدوابا. يتوفر خدمات مندمجة تشمل التعليم والصحة والسكن والطاقة والاستصلاح المائي والزراعي والمكننة الزراعية الجزئية وتمويل المقاولات الصغيرة والتكوين المهني، حتى تصبح هذه المناطق علما على الازدهار بدل أن تكون رمزا للهشاشة. إطلاق برنامج جديد للسكن الاجتماعي يدعى داري، يقوم ببناء وحدات سكنية اقتصادية لفائدة سكان الأحياء الهشة في المدن الكبيرة. تعزيز حضور الخبراء الوطنيين في الهيئات الدولية والإقليمية المكلفة بحقوق الإنسان من أجل المشاركة في انتخابات لجان المواثيق والمعاهدات. وفي هذا الإطار تم انتخاب بلادي لعضوية مجلس حقوق الإنسان لمأمورية 2020-2022 يوم الخميس الماضي أثناء أعمال الجمعية العامة للأمم المتحدة بنيويورك. ويشكل هذا الانتخاب شهادة على ثقة المجتمع الدولي في جهود بلادي الرامية إلى النهوض بحقوق الإنسان. سيد الرئيس، السادة والسيدات، ترتبط بلادي بعلاقات وثيقة بلجان الإشراف على تطبيق الصكوك والمعاهدات الدولية والإقليمية من خلال التعاطي الإيجابي مع مختلف اللجان الأممية والإفريقية والعربية المنشأة بموجب هذه الاتفاقيات، وذلك عبر تقديم التقارير الدولية أمامها. كما تتعاطى بلادي بصفة إيجابية مع المقررين الخاصين للهيئات الدولية والإقليمية، الأمر الذي عكسته زيارات بعضهم لموريتانيا بما في ذلك مقررين من هيئتكم الموقرة. السيد الرئيس، السادة والسيدات، على المستوى المؤسسي تتوفر بلادي على عدة أجهزة وطنية تعمل بالتعاون مع منظمات المجتمع المدني والهيئات الدولية من أجل النهوض بحقوق الإنسان. وتضم هذه المؤسسات فضلا عن مفوضية حقوق الإنسان والمحاكم الهيئات المستقلة لحقوق الإنسان المنشأة وفقا للمعايير الدولية. وعلى مستوى الحكامة الديمقراطية شهدت بلادي هذه السنة تنظيم انتخابات رئاسية شفافة بمشاركة جميع مكونات الطيف السياسي في جو من السلم والتنافس الإيجابي. وقد نظمت هذه الاستحقاقات من طرف لجنة وطنية مستقلة للانتخابات وبحضور مراقبين دوليين من ضمنهم مراقبون من الاتحاد الإفريقي، حيث تم لأول مرة تحقيق التناوب السلمي على السلطة بين رئيسين منتخبين. السيد الرئيس، السادة والسيدات، يشكل تعزيز وحماية حقوق اللاجئين والعائدين والنازحين محورا هاما في الاستراتيجيات الوطنية لحماية حقوق الإنسان. وفي هذا الإطار صادقت بلادي على مجمل الاتفاقيات والمعاهدات الدولية والإقليمية في هذا الصدد. كما قامت بلادي بموائمة منظومتها التشريعية مع مقتضيات تلك الاتفاقيات. وقد اعتدم المشرع الموريتاني عدة قوانين في هذا الصدد تسعى جميعا لحماية حقوق اللاجئين والعائدين والنازحين وغيرهم. كما تتوفر بلادي منذ سنة 2010 على استراتيجية وطنية لتسهيل الهجرة مكنتها من المساهمة بشكل فعال في الرفع من الجهود الإقليمية والدولية لحماية المهاجرين واللاجئين. سيد الرئيس، السادة والسيدات، إن حكومة الجمهورية الإسلامية الموريتانية تحت قيادة الوزير الأول المهندس إسماعيل البدوي الشيخ سيدية تؤكد تمسكها بالتزاماتها الإفريقية والدولية في مجال حقوق الإنسان وباستعدادها الدائم للتعاطي الإيجابي والفعال مع جميع آليات لجنتها الموقرة. وفي الأخير أتمنى لأعمال دورتنا التوفيق والنجاح، والسلام عليكم.
Thank you very much also for concluding on time. Mauritania, we take note of the challenge that you have highlighted in your statement facing Mauritania and the neighboring region relating to terrorism, organized crime, environmental degradation, and the impact that these conditions have on the enjoyment of human and people's rights. We also acknowledge the point that you made on the effort of the state of Mauritania to deal with slavery and various other forms of exploitation. And it is the hope of this commission that you will provide us with statistics on the scope of prevalence of this abhorrent practice in Mauritania. And the various initiatives that you are putting in place to address it. We also note with appreciation the provision of social services that you have highlighted, including, among others, the housing project that you mentioned. Again, in this respect, it would be great if you next time provide us with statistics again on the number of houses delivered, on the category of people who benefited from these social services. The Commission also commends the peaceful conclusion of the election in Mauritania. And as you rightly said, we welcome the first peaceful transfer of power in Mauritania. This is something that the Commission and indeed the entire African Union family would very much commend in terms of the position that there is a need for respect for constitutional term limits, which has been demonstrated. We also hope that Mauritania's membership in the Human Rights Council gives Mauritania further strength to enhance its efforts for the promotion and protection of human rights. Thank you very much again. Is the representative of Lesotho here? Please, you have 7 minutes. Thank you.
Chairperson of the African Commission, it gives me a great honor and privilege to address the 65th session of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights at this August gathering. Yesterday was African Human Rights Day, commemorating 33 years of entry into force of the African Charter. This poses an opportunity to reflect on the meaning, significance, and indispensable need for human rights. Even after all these years, the African Charter still remains a vibrant and living document that concerns all of us. It is through the African Charter that violations have been prevented. Many people, though not all, have been able to secure freedom from torture, unjustified imprisonment, summary execution, persecution, and unjust discrimination, as well as fair access to education, economic opportunities, rich cultural traditions, adequate resources, and health care. However, as we approach the last year of the 2010s decade, there is need for retrospection. If we either individually or collectively stood with millions of people who are voiceless, have we done enough for humanity? Let me now turn to measures undertaken in promoting and protecting human rights in Lesotho. Children represent one of the most valuable national treasures, and as a testimony to this, the government is in the process of amending the Children's Protection and Welfare Act 2010. The Children's Protection and Welfare Amendment Bill 2019 makes child marriage a punishable offense. There are ongoing campaigns calling for an end to child marriage, and the positive change is that there has been a decrease of girls who marry before the age of 18. The amendment bill also abolishes all forms of child labor. Lesotho is currently conducting a survey on violence against children, and the preliminary findings identify different types of violence and the gaps in punishment against such crimes. Following completion of the study, a national action plan will be drawn to address all forms of violence against children. Reporting is an important tool used to assess or monitor the country's progress in implementing the domestic implementation of human rights instruments, hence improving the human rights status of beneficiaries of such instruments. It will be recalled that Lesotho presented periodic reports of the African Charter and the initial report on the Maputo Protocol at the 64th session of the African Commission, and we will await the concluding observations which we commit to implement to the best of our ability. As a means of addressing the backlog of state reports, Lesotho requested for the simplified reporting procedures under the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the Convention Against Torture. The list of issues had been received, and the government is working towards their responses. Lesotho will be undergoing the third cycle of the Universal Periodic Review Mechanism under the auspices of the Human Rights Council in January 2020. Lesotho hosted the United Nations Special Rapporteur on the human rights to safe drinking and sanitation, who tabled his report during the 42nd session of the Human Rights Council in September 2019. He emphasized that lack of adequate water and sanitation services constituted an additional key layer of vulnerability, in addition to existing vulnerabilities such as poverty, unemployment, a high degree of inequality, and the prevalence of HIV/AIDS. The recommendations that emanated therefrom are being implemented incrementally in daily water supply and sanitation services provision. The government is embarking on the development of a water supply and sanitation legislation which will embrace human rights aspects. Lesotho acknowledges that the establishment of national human rights institutions is an important development in Africa, as these institutions have the mandate to carry out human rights education and also aid states to fulfill their human rights obligations. It is in this spirit that the government and civil society organizations reviewed the Human Rights Commission Act, and the Cabinet has approved that the amendments be effected as agreed by the parties. Lesotho will continue to strive to establish a commission that is in compliance with the Paris principles. Madam Chair, it would be remiss of me if I could conclude my remarks without making reference to HIV and AIDS pandemic, which has become one of the greatest menaces of our time. The HIV pandemic is one of the major public health and development challenges in Lesotho. It has left most children as orphans and heads of households. It is one of the factors that have contributed to the slow economic growth and slow progress in Lesotho, as well as becoming the lead cause of morbidity and mortality in Lesotho. Although government has undertaken steps to curb the pandemic, the challenge of reversing HIV and AIDS trends and patterns, getting zero HIV infections, zero discrimination, and zero deaths remain. In conclusion, Chair, the ambition of Lesotho is to move expeditiously towards best practices in the field of human rights. The pace in this journey is determined by the availability of requisite resources, capacity, and receptiveness of the society upon whom the adopted human rights are being applied. My delegation would therefore like to reiterate Lesotho's commitment to work in cooperation with the African Union system and its mechanisms towards attaining a continent that is free of human rights violations, where the rule of law and democracy, as spelled out by the various regional and international human rights instruments, prevail. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for also delivering it within time without being prompted. We take note of the initiatives relating to measures for protection of children, particularly the revision for Children Protection and Welfare Act. And in this respect, we do hope that the process would be finalized and the bill would enter into force speedily. We also take note of the initiative being taken by Lesotho to follow up on the concluding observations and to provide us with updates. We
afin de mieux faciliter l'accès à la justice à la population. D'autres actions prioritaires sont aussi en cours afin de mettre en œuvre l'accord pour la paix et la réconciliation. Pour ce qui est de l'amélioration de la situation en milieu carcéral, la loi portant création de la Commission nationale des droits de l'homme confère à cette autorité indépendante le droit de visiter de manière opinée et régulière ou irrégulière tous les lieux de détention et tous les autres endroits où les personnes peuvent être détenues. Au-delà de toutes les organisations de défense des droits de l'homme peuvent faire la même chose. Ainsi, afin de rendre conforme le milieu carcéral malien aux standards internationaux, le gouvernement a entrepris la construction d'une nouvelle maison d'arrêt à Kenyoroba dans la région de Koulikoro. Pour ce qui est de la lutte contre l'impunité et la justice transitionnelle, en collaboration avec les juridictions internationales, des enquêtes ont été ouvertes au niveau de toutes les régions dans lesquelles des violations des droits de l'homme ont été recensées par les organisations de défense des droits de l'homme. Ainsi, des actions importantes ont été enregistrées, notamment l'ouverture du procès des membres de la junte militaire, la condamnation par la Cour pénale internationale de M. Hamad Al-Faki Al-Mahdi pour crime de guerre au nord du Mali, la condamnation par la Cour d'assises du Mali de M. Aliou Mamar Touré, ex-commissaire islamique pour violation grave des droits de l'homme, l'ouverture des enquêtes sur les faits reprochés aux forces armées et de sécurité dans les différents rapports publiés, l'ouverture d'enquêtes par le pôle judiciaire spécialisé de lutte contre le terrorisme et la criminalité transnationale pour les violations des droits de l'homme et du droit international humanitaire au nord du Mali, précisément dans les zones de Ogosagoud et de Kolongo-Peul. S'agissant particulièrement de cette situation au centre et au nord du Mali, la délégation voudrait rappeler que la justice a engagé des poursuites contre les présumés auteurs des infractions commises à Kolongo-Peul. Les dites poursuites ont été ouvertes par le pôle judiciaire spécialisé de lutte contre le terrorisme et les parquets du tribunal de grande instance de Mopti. En ce qui concerne la sécurisation des régions du centre, l'État s'est engagé avec ses partenaires dans un vaste programme dénommé Plan de sécurisation des régions du centre qui regroupe 4 volets: la sécurité, la gouvernance, le développement et la communication. Le gouvernement du Mali est dans la dynamique de désarmer tous les groupes armés et le DDR est en cours. Par ailleurs, le gouvernement, à travers le ministère en charge de la cohésion sociale, de la paix et de la réconciliation, a pris des initiatives de réconciliation et de cohésion communautaire, notamment la politique du gouvernorat de Mopti, qui est la 5e région du Mali, qui organise des forats pour la paix, la réconciliation et le dialogue intercommunautaire, élargi à d'autres cercles de la région de Tombouctou et de Ségou. L'objectif de ces forats est non seulement de renforcer la cohésion sociale entre les populations, mais aussi la création d'un cadre de dialogue et de renforcement de collaboration entre les forces de défense et de sécurité et les populations. Le ministère de la Solidarité fournit une assistance humanitaire aux populations de Kolongo-Peul, région touchée par des violations graves des droits de l'homme. Et des sites de déplacés internes ont été créés à Bamako et dans les proximités de Bamako. En outre, des aides financières sont faites par le gouvernement aux victimes de toutes les violations des droits de l'homme. Monsieur le Président, je vous disais tantôt que le Mali est confronté à certains défis et à des contraintes. En dépit de ces mesures et politiques,
You have 1 minute.
le Mali demeure confronté à des difficultés liées à sa situation socio-économique et sécuritaire. Il s'agit entre autres de la menace récurrente contre la paix et la sécurité nationale, notamment dans les régions du Nord. Dans la perspective de lutter contre cette situation, le gouvernement se propose de tout mettre en œuvre pour relever ces défis et prendre les dispositions nécessaires afin de consolider les acquis enregistrés sur la question des violations des droits de l'homme. Monsieur le Président, pour conclure, je voudrais que vous nous autorisiez, au nom du gouvernement du Mali, du président de la République, à exprimer la sincère reconnaissance et les sincères félicitations du peuple malien et du gouvernement malien à la présidente sortante, M. Soyata Maïga, pour toutes les actions entreprises à la tête de la Commission. Enfin, permettez-moi, Monsieur le Président, de saluer et remercier cette auguste session pour son attention. Je vous remercie.
Thank you for your statement, Mali. We recognize your observation on the follow-up to the state reporting of Mali, including the recommendations. Importantly, we commend and acknowledge the various legislative measures that are currently being undertaken in Mali in relation to the adoption of various policies such as the National Human Rights Policy, the Reconciliation Policy, and the law on human rights defenders as well. We also take note of the efforts that are being made in order to implement the agreement on peace and reconciliation, and I do hope that you would provide us further updates on the challenges that are impeding the effective and full implementation of this important agreement that is key for ending violence in Mali. And we also take note of the administration of justice initiatives by Mali to address the scourge of violence in the center and north of Mali as well. Thank you very much again. Next on the list is the United Republic of Tanzania. Is Tanzania, delegation of Tanzania here? Yes, please.
Thank you.
You have 7 minutes.
Thank you, Chairperson. Excellencies, Honorable Commissioners, National Human Rights Institutions, colleagues from civil society organizations, distinguished delegates. I convey warm greetings from the government of the people of the United Republic of Tanzania and the entire Bureau. Salam and sincere appreciations are also extended to the government of the Republic of the Gambia for hosting this important meeting. We cannot underscore enough the significance of the work of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, and we have the firm belief that the discussions over the coming days will have a direct impact on furthering the promotion and protection of human and people's rights in Africa. Chairperson, as the United Republic of Tanzania continues on this journey on human rights, collaborations with national human rights institutions and civil society organizations is an important aspect in the realization of human rights and human and people's rights. However, for these bodies to be efficient and effective, they have to remain strong and transparent. It is recalled that the process for appointment of the chairman and the commissioner for the National Human Rights Institution began on time. However, the government received concerns from non-state actors of the transparency process. Therefore, to address this, the Commission for Human Rights and Good Governance appointment procedure for commissioners regulations of 2018 was enacted, and it established a procedure which has increased transparency in the appointment procedure. We are therefore more than pleased to inform this august body that on the 19th of September 2019, the chairman and 5 commissioners for the Commission for Human Rights and Good Governance have been appointed. In line with that, non-governmental organizations play a significant role in complementing government efforts in the promotion and protection of human rights in the United Republic of Tanzania. To that end, the Non-Governmental Organization Act number 24 was established with the objective of regulating their activities and ensuring that the direct beneficiaries of their work are the people of the United Republic of Tanzania. Therefore, the Written Laws Miscellaneous Amendment Act number 3 of 2019 was enacted. It is worth to note that these amendments are in line with Tanzania's international obligations as the 2009 Eastern and Southern African Anti-Money Laundering Group mutual evaluation found that the country's legal system was not robust enough to protect the non-profit organization sector, including NGOs. Therefore, to avoid possible financing abuse, and it was recommended that the registrar of NGOs should be given adequate powers under the laws to conduct inspections for effective supervision and monitoring of NGOs. Secondly, in mainland Tanzania, authorities should be given adequate investigative powers should give adequate investigative powers to the registrar of NGOs to ensure that full access on the administration and management of a particular NGO, including financial and programmatic information, may be obtained during the course of an investigation. Therefore, the United Republic of Tanzania, which is undergoing mutual evaluation for the second round this year, in order to comply with international standards, was obliged to put in place effective legal systems to ensure that NGOs and other non-state actors are not used as a conduit for money laundering, safe haven for proceeds of crime, and terrorist financing by making provisions which increase transparency, accountability, regulation, and monitoring of the NPO sector. There is also in place the amendments. There's also in place amendments to this act. The amendments have provided the right to be heard, and Section 26(1) of the Act provides that the registrar shall, before suspending the operation of an NGO, give such organization a notice of 30 days to show cause as to why its operation should not be suspended and report to the board accordingly. It should also be noted that the board is comprised of 10 members. 1 is the chairman, 5 are state actors, and 4 represent non-governmental organizations. Therefore, NGOs are part of the checks and balance system when it comes to taking disciplinary measures against NGOs. The amendments also call for quarterly monitoring and evaluation of all NGOs' activities, whereby such report is submitted to the board. The same board comprises of representatives of NGOs. Chairperson, the government has also been engaging with disability-based organizations, and we consider these to be successful collaborations which led to the ratification of the Marrakesh Treaty in September 2019. We believe that the issue of access to the visually impaired is being addressed as the instrument facilitates their access to published works. Collaborations are not only local, but there are regional and international collaborations which Tanzania believes will lead to the realization of economic, social, and cultural rights. The United Republic of Tanzania hosted the 39th Ordinary Summit of the Heads of State and Government of the SADC region in August 2019, where she was handed chairmanship. The theme was a conducive environment for inclusive and sustainable industrial development, increased intra-regional trades, and job creation. Discussions centered on how to harness the potentials of the bloc and to propel development through industrialization, which is in line with Tanzania's own development agenda. The United Republic of Tanzania also shared its best practice and challenges in implementing 6 of the Sustainable Development Goals at the United Nations High-Level Political Forum during the July 2019 Voluntary National Review. That the country underwent voluntary review reflects its willingness to engage with the international community and improve its approach on matters pertaining to quality education, decent work, and economic growth, reduced inequalities, climate action, peace, justice, and strong institutions. Ms. Chairperson, in the discourse of the parity of right, what remains without ambiguity is that the right to identity and one's name is a fundamental human right. This can only be manifested through birth registration, and the government is cognizant of the African Union's Declaration of 2017-2026 as the decade for repositioning civil registration of vital statistics in Africa's continental, regional, and national development agenda. In this regard, the government has continued to strengthen its civil registration system.
You have 1 minute.
For under 5 birth registrations. As the United Republic of Tanzania continues on its journey on human rights, the importance of collaboration and cooperation with regional and international human rights bodies cannot be overlooked. We wish to therefore conclude by reaffirming that the government of the United Republic of Tanzania remains allied to the work of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights and shall continue to endeavor towards fulfilling its obligation before this Commission, as the outcome of our engagement is ultimately to the benefit of the people of the United Republic of Tanzania. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tanzania, and welcome to the session of the Commission. We take note of the 2018 Act on the appointment of the National Human Rights Commission. making the procedure and the process transparent, and indeed acting on that act, the appointment in September of the members of the Commission. And we look forward to the participation also of this human rights body in our proceedings. With respect to regulation of civil society organizations, we take note of the legislative and regulative measures that have been put in place, and including the inspection, monitoring, investigation, and disciplinary authorities of the board. The Commission wishes to express its caution that this power is not exercised in a way that undermines the operations of civil society organizations, and therefore in narrowing down the civic space. And we do hope that there is judicial review in place in order to ensure that civil society organizations are able to challenge the disciplinary measures of the board before ordinary courts of Tanzania. We take note of the measures and commend Tanzania for that, relating to the rights of persons with disabilities, and also international cooperation focusing on industrialization and job creation that you have briefed us on, as well as indeed the civil registration process that's currently underway, which is indeed critical for any development planning. I would like to remind the delegation that the Commission requested to undertake promotion mission, and we would be happy to get the feedback of Tanzania granting this Commission authorization to undertake that promotion mission. Thank you very much again. I don't see any other state party that have registered to make a statement, so we will now proceed to have the statements of national human rights institutions and HRIs. The first one is from which country?
Commission Nationale des Droits de l'Homme. They just put Commission Nationale des Droits de l'Homme, but they didn't state which country.
Okay, the National Human Rights Institution of Niger.
Sure.
In the National Human Rights Institution of Niger here, please. You have 5 minutes, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Auguste Assemblée, je vous apporte le salut fraternel de la CNDH Niger, qui est passé au statut A depuis mars 2017 au niveau du comité d'accréditation des Nations Unies. J'avais déjà félicité l'équipe entrante et sortante. Permettez-moi de faire la déclaration autour de la question sécuritaire au Sahel, cas du Niger. Passage obligé vers le Maghreb et l'Europe, le Niger constitue une destination de prédilection pour les trafiquants de tout genre et les candidats à l'immigration clandestine. Par ailleurs, aux multiples défis du développement auxquels est confronté le pays s'ajoute le défi sécuritaire. En effet, il se trouve à l'heure actuelle à la croisée des chemins entre les menaces de groupes armés non étatiques à partir des frontières de certains pays voisins. Préoccupée par cette situation, la Commission nationale des droits humains, s'appuyant sur ses antennes régionales et ses points focaux, avait en amont mené des missions régulières de sensibilisation, d'information et de renforcement de capacités, et en aval des missions d'enquête et d'investigation pour documenter les cas de violation des droits humains en vue de formuler des recommandations au pouvoir public et aux populations. À Difa, région où sévit Boko Haram, cette situation a engendré des mouvements massifs de population du sud vers le nord, exacerbant ainsi les conflits inter- et intracommunautaires. À titre illustratif et de façon non limitative, en 2018, il a été documenté par la CNDH 438 cas d'incidents de protection ou violation des droits humains. La région de Tillabéri, quant à elle, a connu une instabilité progressive du fait de l'insécurité dans les communes frontalières avec le Mali et le Burkina, en proie aux attaques des éléments de groupes armés non étatiques, ACMI, Ansardine, Moujao et Katiba du Massina. À la date du 31 décembre 2018, il a été enregistré par le Cluster Protection, dont la CNDH est membre, 419 incidents de protection, soit une moyenne de 35 incidents par mois, ainsi que 35 866 personnes déplacées internes engendrées et enregistrées au niveau de la région. Mais il faut reconnaître sur le plan de l'amélioration du cadre normatif, je l'ai dit hier, la CNDH se félicite du progrès enregistré par le Niger à travers l'adoption de la loi numéro 2018-74 du 10 décembre 2018 relative à la protection et à l'assistance aux personnes déplacées internes dans leur propre pays. En effet, l'article 3.2 de la Convention de Kampala sur les personnes déplacées internes en Afrique avait exhorté les États à fournir un effort de domestication par le biais d'une loi nationale. À l'issue des différentes missions effectuées dans la région de Difa et de Tillabéri, la CNDH a formulé un certain nombre de recommandations. Renforcer la sécurité à travers les patrouilles militaires intensives et régulières dans les régions d'insécurité, sensibiliser les communautés sur la nécessité de protection, sensibiliser les communautés sur les risques d'enlèvement, intensifier les sensibilisations sur le danger de l'enrôlement des bras valides dans les mouvements djihadistes, attirer l'attention des leaders religieux par rapport aux prêches ou tout autre propos tendant à pousser les populations à l'extrémisme violent, collaborer davantage avec les autorités locales et les forces de défense et de sécurité dans l'éradication du banditisme armé, enfin, éviter la justice privée et recourir aux mécanismes traditionnels de règlement de conflits, autorités coutumières et aux justices compétentes.
Thank you very much. The National Human Rights Institution of Niger for highlighting the challenges arising from various sources of insecurity, including trafficking and violence arising from terrorist acts and the resultant displacement that this has caused in Niger. And we also commend your support to the national institutions for them to carry out their responsibilities in enhancing protection to people who are exposed to these source of insecurity. The next on the list is the National Human Rights of Mauritania. The National Human Rights Institution of
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على النبي الكريم.
You have 5 minutes.
سيد الرئيس، أيها السادة والسيدات، لا يسعني في بداية كلمتي إلا أن أتوجه بجزيل الشكر وعظيم الامتنان إلى اللجنة الإفريقية لحقوق الإنسان والشعوب، رئيسة ومفوضين وخبراء وأطر وعاملين ولجان إشراف، على ما بذلوا من جهد من أجل إنجاح هذه الدورة التي نتطلع من خلالها إلى تحقيق المزيد من صيانة الحقوق وتعزيز المكتسبات لقاراتنا الإفريقية. أيها السيد الرئيس، أيها السادة والسيدات، تعتبر اللجنة الوطنية لحقوق الإنسان بموريتانيا إحدى المؤسسات الدستورية، إذ تنص المادة 97 من الدستور على أن اللجنة هي الهيئة الدستورية المستقلة لحماية وترقية حقوق الإنسان، ويحكمها القانون النظامي 016/2017 الذي يحدد سير وتشكيلة عمل اللجنة، وهي بمثابة جهاز استشاري ومراقبة واستشعار ووساطة وتقييم في مجال احترام حقوق الإنسان والقانون الإنساني طبقا لمبادئ باريس 1993 والناطقة والناظمة لعملية المؤسسات الوطنية لحقوق الإنسان. ويتمثل دور اللجنة في إبداء الرأي الاستشاري بناء على طلب من الحكومة أو البرلمان أو أي جهاز استشاري آخر متخصص، أو دراسة وتقييم آراء الاستشارية حول التشريعات الوطنية المتعلقة بحقوق الإنسان ومشاريع النصوص المتصلة بهذا المجال، المساهمة بكل الوسائل المناسبة في نشر وتجذير ثقافة حقوق الإنسان، ترقية البحث والتربية والتعليم في مجال حقوق الإنسان داخل مختلف أسلاك التعليم وداخل الأوساط المهنية والاجتماعية، الترقية والسهر على موائمة التشريع الوطني مع الاتفاقيات الدولية لحقوق الإنسان المصادق عليها ومحاربة الممارسات المنافية لها، تشجيع المصادقة على الآليات القانونية لحقوق الإنسان والمساهمة في إعداد التقارير التي على الحكومة أن تقدمها أمام أجهزة وجهاز ولجان الأمم المتحدة والمنظمات الإقليمية طبقا للاتفاقيات الموقعة عليها، وإبداء رأيها في هذا المجال مع الحفاظ على الاستقلالية. السيد الرئيس، أيها السادة والسيدات، إن اللجنة الوطنية لحقوق الإنسان في إطار تأديتها لمهامها الرامية إلى حماية وترقية حقوق الإنسان، فإنها تعمل بالتعاون مع الحكومة والمنظمات الدولية العاملة في المجال، خاصة المنظمة الدولية للهجرة والمفوضية السامية للاجئين والمفوضية السامية لحقوق الإنسان وبرنامج الأمم للتنمية، في إطار تحسين وتعزيز الترسانة القانونية المتعلقة بالمهاجرين واللاجئين ومنع المتاجرة بالأشخاص. وفي هذا الإطار شاركت اللجنة الوطنية لحقوق الإنسان في موريتانيا في إعداد مشروعي القانونين المتعلقين أولا تجريم المتاجرة بالأشخاص، ثانيا التهريب غير الشرعي للمهاجرين. وفي الأخير لا يسعني أيها السادة والسيدات إلا أن أتقدم لدورتكم الموقرة بالتوصيات التالية. أولا تعزيز الشراكة ما بين اللجنة الإفريقية لحقوق الإنسان والشعوب والمنظمة الدولية للهجرة والاتحاد الأوروبي وأجهزة الأمم المتحدة المختصة من أجل خلق استراتيجية سريعة وفعالة من شأنها العمل على تقليص الهجرة من خلال وضع برامج تنموية تضمن للشباب الإفريقي سبل العيش الكريم في بلدانه. اثنين تعزيز التعاون الدولي والإقليمي من أجل الحد من تدفقات المهاجرين غير الشرعيين واللاجئين من خلال اتخاذ سياسة بديلة تضمن حلولا مستدامة للقضاء على ظاهرتي اللجوء والهجرة غير الشرعية. تعزيز التعاون ما بين الدول المصدرة للمهاجرين ودول العبور ودول المستضيفة من أجل فتح حوار فعال ومسؤول يحدد الطرق الفضلى للحد من الهجرة. تعزيز الديمقراطية والحكامة الرشيدة في البلدان الأصلية للمهاجرين. شكرا على إصغائكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Thank you, the National Human Rights Commission of Mauritania, for updating us on the mandate of the Commission, its working methods, most importantly, the work that it has done in helping the drafting of 2 draft bills, particularly relating to human trafficking. And also, we take note of the recommendation that you have presented. The next is Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission. Is the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission here? I don't see anyone. So, South Sudan Human Rights Commission. South Sudan Human Rights Commission, you have the floor, please, and 5 minutes. Thank you.
Honorable Dr. Solomon Ayero, Chairperson of the African Commission, Human and People Rights, Honorable Commissioner, Professor Remo, Vice Chairperson, distinguished commissioners, representative of the states, representative of the National Human Rights Institution, members of the international organization and civil society organization present. It is my single honor once again to address this August Assembly on behalf of Acting Chairperson, Honorable Newell Justin, who would have been here for such interactive dialogue, but equally engaged with other competing priorities. I thank the people and government of the Republic of Gambia for the warm hospitality extended to us since our arrival in the beautiful city of the Banjul. Second, I wholeheartedly congratulate you, Mr. Chairman, and your deputy for the trust bestowed upon you in this session at the new leadership of the African Commission for the next 2 years. I hereby undertake that we shall cooperate and together makes a difference. Equally important, I congratulate Advocate Soyeta Maiga, former chairperson of the African Commission, for her steadfast dedication to a just, democratic, peaceful, and prosperous Africa in line with Agenda 2063 of the African Union. In a related development, Mr. Chairperson, please allow me, on behalf of the National Human Rights Institution in Africa and South Sudan Human Rights Commission in particular, to express our special greetings and appreciation to my colleague, Emmanuel Daniel Joub, the founding chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission of the Gambia, and who is a close friend to the people of South Sudan during his tenure of dedicated service with the United Nations agencies for more than 13 years. Congratulations, my brother, for your new role in the democratic transformation of the Gambia, and continue to remember South Sudan while remaining hospitable to all South Africans as hosts of the African Commission on Human and People Rights. Mr. Chairperson, my address to this August Assembly 1 year after granting affiliate status to South Sudan Human Rights Commission came at a very critical movement in the history of our country when the government and opposition groups have signed the revitalized agreement on the resolution of conflict in the Republic of South Sudan on the 12th of September 2018, and implementing it remains a big challenge. It is critical because Chapter 2 of the peace agreement, which provides framework for security arrangement prior to the formation of the unity government, is scheduled for 12 November, which is 2 weeks from now, is facing daunting challenges to complete cantonment and training of unified forces that shall safeguard the security of people and critical installation during the transition. Equally, Chapter 5 of the peace agreement provides for the establishment of transitional justice mechanism, including hybrid court for criminal accountability for the alleged crime committed during the outbreak of armed conflict in mid-December 2013. The question which remains unanswered by the peace agreement in the controversy of these matters are which one comes first between peace and justice. The sequencing is something that has been haunting transitional justice processes ever since, even with the African Union. I hope this matter shall be addressed soon. Mr. Chairperson, Excellencies, the assessment by the Human Rights Commission on the question of priority between peace and justice is that the successful implementation of transitional justice requires application of both restorative and retributive justice, regardless of when each one of them occurred. In South Sudan, the current political and military leaders on both sides of the divide and who are key stakeholders in the successful implementation of the peace agreement are most likely the primary suspect needed for criminal accountability. This is by the reports of the African Union Commission of Inquiry on South Sudan and the United Nations Commission on Human Rights in South Sudan, respectively. This move is dangerous for the survival of the peace agreement, as the competing sequence between peace and justice affect the powerful stakeholders who are now sailing the boat to the other side of the river. As a result, the Human Rights Commission appealed to the African Commission to join call with the United Nations Security Council and the African Union Peace and Security Council, who are currently in South Sudan, in order to pressure the parties to revitalize the agreement to form the Transitional Government of National Unity on the 12th of November 2019. While the government must fully guarantee the security and safety of the people and other critical installations, funding successful training and deployment of unified forces, as well as addressing the contested issue of state and internal boundaries. Subsequently, Mr. Chairperson, we seek to call upon the Commission, the African Commission, to urge the government of South Sudan immediately establish the Commission for Truth, Reconciliation and Healing, as well as the Compensation and Reparation Authority, in order to ensure truth-telling about what happened during the war and equally rehabilitate and reconstruct war-affected areas as the revitalized agreement dedicated resources into the Special Reconstruction Fund.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you. Your time is up. Thank you very much. We take note of the update that you have provided us on the implementation of the revitalized peace agreement on the resolution of the conflict in South Sudan and the critical importance of the implementation of this agreement for peace and security in South Sudan, and as a result for the enjoyment of human and people's rights by the people of South Sudan in that country. And indeed, this commission joins others in urging the stakeholders to implement this agreement with responsibility, without any conditionalities and politicization of the process. And we do make this request without making any distinction. Of course, we recognize that the most important action that needs to be taken is resolving the issues relating to security arrangements, as you have pointed out, and also finalizing the determination of the number and boundaries of states in order to achieve the establishment of the national unity government. We, however, also join in urging the implementation of Chapter 5 of the agreement on transitional justice, not just one aspect of the agreement relating to the Commission on Truth and Reconciliation, but also the aspect of the peace agreement on the hybrid court as well. Thank you very much again. We have now the last National Human Rights Commission, that is the National Human Rights Commission of Cameroon. And Cameroon National Human Rights Commission, are you here? Okay, you have the floor, please. 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and congratulations for your appointment as the chair of this commission. My contribution will be on the human rights situation in Cameroon. The human rights situation in Cameroon is characterized by security challenges in the far north region due to continuous attacks by terrorist group Boko Haram. In the north and Adamawa regions, by continuous abduction of civilians for ransom by armed groups, and in the northwest and southwest regions due to the Anglophone crisis. Similarly, the socio-political situation has also been characterized by post-electoral conflicts, resulting to the arrest and detention of some militants of the opposition party, the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, following public protests of 26 January, 1st and 8th of June 2019. The crises in the northwest and southwest regions have been characterized by an increase in abductions of civilians, religious leaders, and state authorities by separatist armed groups for ransoms. Similarly, regular armed conflict between the separatist fighters and the defense and security forces have been observed, resulting to the death of civilians and casualties on both sides. Suspects have been continuously arrested in relation to this crisis, and a majority of them tried before the military tribunals. The majority of schools in these regions have remained closed for the last 4 years, while the number of internally displaced persons have increased in cities like Douala, Yaoundé, and Bafoussam, and the littoral region. And also a lot of refugees in Nigeria, neighboring Nigeria. Given the worrying security and socio-political challenges, government undertook measures to address the situation, some of them being the organization of the Major National Dialogue from the 30th September to 4th of October 2019 in order to address the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions, the release of 333 suspects by presidential order of 3rd October 2019, arrested in relation to the crisis in the Northwest and Southwest regions. The release of 103 militants of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement militants by presidential order of 4th October 2019 out of about 600 arrested. The National Commission on Human Rights and Freedom has been monitoring, investigating, and reporting on the above security and socio-political situation. In this perspective, it has issued press releases, visit those arrested and detained in relation with crisis or public protests in some places of detention, address reports and correspondences with recommendations to competent authorities on observed human rights violations for remedy, attended court sessions of those arrested within the above context. The Commission, in line with the above security and socio-political challenges, appreciates effort made to address them. It further recommends that the state should pay deserved attention to recommendations adopted during the major national dialogue and continue with efforts at fine-tuning some of these recommendations. I also want to inform you that the National Commission on Human Rights and Freedom of Cameroon is undergoing reforms, and the law, they have just adopted a new law that is going to put the Commission in line with the Paris principles, and I hope that by early next year, this law will be enforced. Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me your attention.
Thank you very much for delivering that updates and statements within the time allocated. This commission takes note of the update provided on the post-electoral conflict, on the crisis on the north and southwest, on the armed fighting that resulted in civilian casualties, the continuing closure of majority schools in these two regions, and the large number of IDPs and refugees in neighboring Nigeria. And it is with grave concern that this Commission takes note of the continuing insecurity and violence in Cameroon, and we do hope that the authorities in Cameroon would do everything that is possible to ensure that political process and dialogue, an inclusive one, is put in place in order to provide lasting solution to this issue. And we also encourage the National Human Rights Commission of Cameroon to continue its monitoring and reporting role as have been proposed, and we look forward for the update relating to the adoption of the law on the Commission to make it in line with the Paris principles. Thank you very much again. We now have a request, an additional registration for making a state party statement from the Republic of South Africa. Representative of South Africa, you have the floor and you have 7 minutes. You are very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson, for giving South Africa the floor. And this delegation wishes to congratulate you on your chairship, and we stand on your support. The delegation of South Africa wishes to take this opportunity to express gratitude to the government of the people of the Gambia for the warm welcome and hospitality extended to our delegation since our arrival for the session. Honorable Chairperson and Commissioners, as a fundamental part of building a human rights culture, South Africa has dedicated this year, during our Human Rights Month celebrations, to the promotion of indigenous languages. This coincides with the United Nations Declaration of 2019 as the International Year of Indigenous Languages. A positive contribution towards implementing this theme is espoused in the fact that the Nama language of the Khoisan people is being taught at primary school level in the Northern Cape province in South Africa. In line with South Africa's aspiration to cultivate inclusivity and respect for rights of people with disabilities, a proposal has been submitted to the Parliament to elevate South African Sign Language to the status of an official language. South Africa, since the launch of President Ramaphosa's Sanitation Appropriate for Education, which is known as SAFE initiative between the government and private sector in August 2018, 699 schools have been given safe and appropriate sanitation facilities and projects. In a further 1,150 schools are either in planning, design, or construction stages. South Africa aims to eradicate unsafe sanitation facilities within the next 3 years in order to ensure that its children's rights and safety and dignity are protected. Another milestone in terms of children's rights in education is the establishment of a solid framework for a comprehensive early childhood program, which forms a critical component of the education system. As such, the ECD program will be compulsory for 2 years for all children in South Africa prior to the grade 1 level. A key priority will be to improve reading comprehension in the child's first years of school and to expand availability of early reading resources across the foundation phase of schooling. Honorable Chairperson and Commissioners, the protection and empowerment of women has long been a priority for champions of our democracy. In order to respond to national concerns to address the challenges of gender-based violence and femicide, Cabinet has called for the imposition of the maximum sentence to the perpetrators. There has been a high conviction rate of 74% of gender-based violence and over 4,000 perpetrators who have received life sentence. The National Register of Sexual Offences will be placed before Parliament for consideration and amendment to the Sexual Offences Act. These amendments will ensure that the register is extended to cover offenders who have committed any sexual offense. An interministerial committee has been established that will work with civil society to bring an end to gender-based violence. President Ramaphosa convened a summit in 2018 to unpack and seek solutions to address this scourge. An outcome following the summit was the adoption of a declaration which represents our collective commitment to implement a comprehensive and effective prevention and response program to end gender-based violence and femicide in South Africa. A draft national strategic plan has been developed to build on the adopted declaration. Government calls on all sectors of society, particularly men, to stand up against those who continue to abuse and kill women in South Africa. The government of South Africa remains committed to the implementation of its comprehensive land reform as this remains a fundamental injustice that has disenfranchised the majority of citizens, dispossessing them of land and setting them back their economic inclusion. The significance of this commitment to our people is the reversing of the deeply rooted socio-economic inequalities, provision of land to the poor, in both rural and urban areas, strengthening of the poverty rise of all, increase in agricultural production, and improving food security. All policy and legal interventions will be tailored to ensure that land is made available for agriculture, industrial development, and human settlements. The Presidential Expert Advisory Panel on Land Reform and Agriculture has completed its report and delivered it to Cabinet. The report makes findings on the current status quo and makes recommendations that will assist in accelerating the work of the government in redressing the historical land distribution imbalances. All ministers, through their respective departments, will study the report together with the recommendations. Honorable Chairperson and Commissioners, as Africans, we all have a shared commitment to foster socio-economic development, peace, and greater continental unity, as these are fundamental for the achievement of our developmental agenda espoused in Agenda 2063. This august body will recall a few weeks ago the unfortunate incidents that took place in South Africa. The government and the generality of the people of South Africa condemn in the strongest terms the attacks against both South African citizens and foreign nationals in some of our cities. Like many other African countries, South Africa is a country that suffers from deep structural disparities, which emanates from the legacy of apartheid. The attacks in South Africa have exposed the extent to which so many of our citizens are frustrated about their social and economic conditions. However, violence cannot be the answer to these frustrations.
You have 1 minute, please.
The South African government strongly condemns any and all acts of criminality. During the month of September, President Ramaphosa dispatched envoys to a number of African countries to reassure fellow Africans that our country is committed to the ideals of Pan-Africanism and solidarity. President Ramaphosa has, among many efforts, established a commission of inquiry which comprises former President Jakaya Kikwete of Tanzania and former President Joaquim Chissano of Mozambique to interact with the various groupings within our country with the view to establishing the facts surrounding the unfortunate incidents. The findings of this commission will be shared with the African Union and importantly will assist us in dealing with the recurrence of violence attacks on both foreign nationals and our citizens. Government will also work with local and international humanitarian organizations as well as diaspora fora in an initiative to tackle xenophobia and intolerance. We once again call on the countries of origin, transit countries, regional and international organizations to work with South Africa to find a permanent solution. South Africa welcomes the proposal of the African Union Peace and Security Council to have a continental conference. We are ready to work with the African Union Commission to identify the root causes of xenophobia. The objective of this conference is to find a collective continental solution on how to best manage immigration and social cohesion on the continent. During February this year, government approved the National Action Plan to combat racism.
Your time is up.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I very much welcome the statement of South Africa, updating us on the various measures that are being taken in order to fulfill South Africa's obligation on the promotion and protection of human and people's rights under the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. We also welcome your support to this commission and your continued collaboration. The promotion of language rights that you mentioned, including the SAFE initiative, particularly in order to create conducive environment for education in the schools, enhancing the protection of the rights of persons with disabilities, investing in the education of children, particularly at the foundation stages. And this commission has expressed its concern relating to the scourge of gender-based violence and femicide, and we very much welcome that the South African government has recognized the gravity of this problem and its impact in impeding the enjoyment of human rights of women in South Africa. And to this effect, we continue to commend and encourage South Africa to continue with the various initiatives that you have provided us. Also, the initiative by South Africa relating to addressing socioeconomic inequalities prevalent in South Africa, including as a result of historical legacies such as land-related issues. And we very much commend South Africa to take forward this agenda of addressing the historical injustices and redistribution of land. We welcome the condemnation by South Africa of the xenophobic attacks that took place a few weeks back. And as you recall, this commission has sent an urgent letter of appeal to South Africa, among others, calling for the establishment of a commission of inquiry and we would very much appreciate at the Commission to receive the reply of President Cyril Ramaphosa in this respect. In the meantime, we acknowledge with appreciation the establishment of the Commission of Inquiry and also the various measures that you have provided us and the need for having a continental conversation in that respect. Thank you very much again. Now we have I'm being informed that the Zimbabwe National Human Rights Commission is currently present. Zimbabwe National Human Rights Commission. I am not able to see you. All right, I think they are not here, so we will proceed to consider the statement of intergovernmental and international organizations. We have two statements to receive from them. The first one is the International Committee of... How many minutes?
We have 5 minutes.
Okay, the International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC. You have 5 minutes, please. Thank you. Yes, please.
Excellency Mr. Salomon Dresso, Chairperson of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, Honorable Commissioner Maya Sahli Fadel, Special Rapporteur on Refugees, Asylum Seekers, Migrants, IDPs, Persons in Africa, Honorable Commissioners, distinguished representatives of state parties, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the ICRC would like to express its appreciation to the African Commission on Human and People's Rights for the invitation extended to participate in its 65th ordinary session. The ICRC reiterates its commitment to pursue and strengthen its engagement with this Commission on the complementary mandates of our respective institutions aimed at promoting human protection and dignity. As we celebrate the African Union Year of Refugees, Returnees, and Internally Displaced Persons in Africa towards durable solutions to forced displacement, the ICRC would like to welcome efforts by states to achieve durable solutions for displaced persons and recalls that more needs to be done in that regard. At the end of 2018, it was home to nearly 36% of the total population in Africa that has been internally displaced by conflict, violence, and disasters. Recent figures from IDMC mentioned 3.2 million newly displaced persons. I repeat, newly displaced persons related to armed conflicts, violence, and disasters for the African continent for only the first 6 months of this year. It's important that states and humanitarian organizations anticipate and integrate durable solutions, considerations from the outset when responding to a situation of displacement. Providing durable solutions for IDPs is the primary duty and responsibility of national authorities. The latter must establish conditions as well as provide the means for IDPs to be able to choose between returning to their homes or habitual place or residence, locally integrate in the locations where they have been displaced, or resettle in another part of the country. Voluntarism, the free and informed choice by displaced persons, is a key precondition for durable solutions. Peoples have a right to voluntary return in safety and dignity to their homes or places of habitual residence. Return is often the preferred solution for many IDPs. It also tends to be the focus of the authorities insofar that it can serve to convey a sense of normalcy. However, there is no hierarchy among different types of durable solutions. People must be able to determine in light of the specific circumstances of their situation, what durable solutions to pursue. Local integration or resettlement rather than return may be durable or better durable options for some, or can become temporary solutions until conditions in place of origin allow for such a return. National authorities must accompany the implementation of durable solutions, which is a gradual process and must involve humanitarian and development organizations. Despite their physical movement back home or their presence within a host community, displaced persons often face continuing problems requiring support, and states must support to the extent possible the recovery of their property and possessions left behind or disposed upon their displacement. Where not possible, national authorities shall provide or assist these persons in obtaining appropriate compensation or another form of just reparation. Achieving a durable solution to internal displacement means that displaced persons no longer have any specific assistance and protection needs that are directly linked to their displacement. As the African Union is commemorating the year 2019 of the Year for Refugees, Returnees, and Internally Displaced People in Africa, the ICRC, one, underlines the special efforts should be made to ensure the full participation of IDPs and host communities in the planning and management of durable solutions, call on state parties to consider the full spectrum of durable solutions, and finally stress the vital role of the African Union, the African Commission, and relevant regional stakeholders in promoting the integration of durable solution considerations from the outset when responding to a situation of displacement. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the statements, the representative of ICRC, for highlighting specifically the scale of internal displacement on the continent, including the 3.8 million newly displaced persons only in the first 6 months of this year. It tells you the gravity of the situation that we face. And also the point that have been made about voluntary and free and informed consent are the basis for sustainable solution. We also take note of the recommendation, the other recommendations on durable solutions, including on the role of the African Union, this Commission, and other entities for achieving durable solution. The next one is the UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights. You have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Honorable Salomon Ayele Derso, président de la Commission africaine des droits de l'homme et des peuples, Honorable Soyata Maïga, président du groupe de travail sur les populations autochtones de la Commission africaine, Mesdames et Messieurs les membres de la Commission africaine des droits de l'homme et des peuples, Vos Excellences les représentants et délégués des États membres et des organes de l'Union africaine, distingués représentants des institutions nationales des droits de l'homme, organisations de la société civile et des communautés autochtones en Afrique. Au nom de mes collègues du groupe de travail technique sur les peuples autochtones d'Afrique, j'ai le grand plaisir de m'adresser à vous aujourd'hui pour vous informer des récents développements amorcés sous les auspices de la Commission. Ce nouveau groupe de travail technique a été créé lors de la réunion du groupe de travail de la Commission africaine sur les populations et communautés autochtones qui s'est tenue les 19 et 20 octobre dernier. Ce groupe de travail est une émanation du groupe d'appui interagences sur les questions autochtones composé de plus de 40 agences, fonds et programmes des Nations Unies. Ce groupe d'appui interagences a été créé en 2002 pour appuyer le mandat de l'instance permanente des Nations Unies sur les questions autochtones et contribuer à l'intégration des questions relatives aux peuples autochtones dans le système des Nations Unies. Monsieur le Président, le document final de la Conférence mondiale sur les droits des peuples autochtones, qui s'est tenue à New York en 2014, contient une série d'engagements qui appellent une action multidimensionnelle de la part de divers acteurs, en premier lieu les États membres, mais aussi le système des Nations Unies. En réponse à cette recommandation, le secrétaire général de l'ONU a lancé un plan d'action du système des Nations Unies sur les droits des peuples autochtones en 2016. Le plan d'action favorise la cohérence au sein du système des Nations Unies en faveur des droits et du bien-être des peuples autochtones et s'articule autour de 6 éléments, dont l'appui à la mise en œuvre de la Déclaration des Nations Unies sur les droits des peuples autochtones, en particulier au niveau national, mais également dans le contexte de l'agenda 2030 pour le développement durable et la promotion de la participation des peuples autochtones aux activités des Nations Unies. Au cours de sa 18e session tenue du 22 avril au 3 mai 2019 à New York, l'instance permanente sur les questions autochtones a accueilli un dialogue régional thématique sur l'Afrique. Le dialogue a conclu qu'il était nécessaire d'accroître la sensibilisation et la visibilité sur la situation des populations autochtones de la région, en commençant par un dialogue structurel entre le groupe d'appui interagence des Nations Unies et le groupe de travail sur les populations et communautés autochtones en Afrique de la Commission africaine. C'est de ce dialogue qu'est né le groupe technique sur les populations autochtones en Afrique. Il vise à mettre en œuvre le plan d'action du système des Nations Unies en Afrique sous la direction du groupe de travail de la Commission africaine sur les populations et les communautés autochtones et en partenariat étroit avec les organisations des peuples autochtones. Monsieur le Président, comme vous le savez, l'ONU procède actuellement à une transformation complète de son système de développement afin de repositionner le développement durable au cœur des Nations Unies. Il s'agit ici de ne laisser personne derrière soi et de la nécessité de définir pays par pays qui sont ces personnes. Les populations autochtones d'Afrique sont toujours laissées pour compte dans la plupart des pays du monde. Nous espérons saisir les occasions qui se présenteront en 2020 pour concevoir un cadre de coopération afin de guider la mise en œuvre du plan d'action de l'ONU sur les droits des peuples autochtones dans les pays africains grâce à un engagement accru avec les équipes pays des Nations Unies et à des contributions significatives à la conception en cours du cadre de coopération pour le développement durable. La mise en œuvre de ce cadre de coopération devrait prendre effet à partir de 2021. Monsieur le Président, pour conclure, le nouveau groupe technique sur les populations autochtones en Afrique vous félicite, vous et votre équipe, à l'occasion de cette 60e session ordinaire de la Commission africaine. Nous sommes extrêmement reconnaissants de l'engagement et de la détermination du commissaire Soyata Maïga, en tant que président du groupe de travail de la Commission sur les populations autochtones, à mieux protéger les droits des populations autochtones en Afrique. Et nous espérons, Monsieur le Président, compter sur votre soutien pour travailler à nos côtés sur ce thème. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, the representative of UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights for that statement, focusing in particular the work of the UN system relating to the rights of indigenous peoples on the African continent. We come to the end of the statement by intergovernmental and international organizations. Instead of continuing with the statement, the Bureau proposes that we take a health break at this point and come back at 11:30 for the continuation of the public session. Thank you very much.